Hello everyone, it's Amy and welcome back for week 4 of Build Your Stash and Craft. And today we're going to make foam flowers. We didn't buy anything for this week because we had bought the foam last week. I was going to do paper flowers and foam flowers in the same video. And then I realized that was just too much to do in just one video, so I moved the foam flowers over to this week. So we had purchased these Crafter square foam sheets from the Dollar Tree. It's a very nice thin foam, and but any foam sheets will work. The thin just works a little bit easier. I don't want to say better, really, just a little easier. So we're going to need those. We're going to need our markers and maybe a black pen, our scissors, some glue, some skewers maybe, maybe even just if you have a regular pen around the house. And that's pretty much in our hands. So we're going to get started. These are really easy to do and they're really fun to do. So I'm going to start with like a tiger lily, kind of, sort of. I will tell you, my flowers are not necessarily real looking flowers because I'm not a flower kind of person. So I don't know exactly what they look like. I just know, like, if I make something and I think, well, that kind of looks like a tiger lily, or that kind of looks like a rose, well, then it's a tiger lily or a rose to me. So so I have a sheet of our foam. I've already done some petals. Tried to get a little bit done up ahead of time so this doesn't wind up being forever. But so all you're going to do is because they have really long petals on them, we're just going to cut out a petal. And there is no exact way to do it. Now that one is a lot longer than all the rest I did, and because they're all going on the same flower, I think maybe I'll shorten it up a little bit. So, and so I just make it just maybe a ½ inch across the bottom, and then just kind of come up and go to a point, round it and go to a point on each side. So now we've got a petal for our flower. We've got another one here, and they don't all need to be the same size. I don't measure them, or, I don't want a really long one and a really short one, but then again, flowers are not all exactly the same either. So I am going to just kind of put a little bit of red down the center. Now, I could actually kind of just squirted a little teeny bit of water on my hand. You could kind of blend that back with a little bit of water like that. But really, when you go to stretch them, it's going to get a little bit blended back anyways. So then what you're going to do, you've got your petal. Okay. Doesn't matter where you start, whether you start at the bottom end or the top end. I don't know why I usually start at the top end. You're just going to put your fingers. You're just going to pinch it, and then you're going to pinch it with the other hand. So you want them right next to each other, and then you're just going to kind of squeeze it, or, kind of pinch it and give it just a little bit of a pull. You don't want to pull too hard and rip it. And then you're just going to move down. The warmth of your hands kind of softens up the foam and helps it to stretch. That's what we're doing, is we're just stretching it. And the reason we're keeping our hands close together is because that way it's less likely to rip. So, but we're just going to just pinch and stretch and pinch and stretch, pinch and stretch. Now see how that has made that curl? So now I'm going to come up to, see, it already looks pretty good, but we don't want the other side to just be perfectly straight. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to do the same thing. Just kind of pinch and stretch all the way till we get to the bottom. Now, if you rip it, don't worry about it. Have you ever looked in your garden and found that all of your flowers were perfect? They're not. So, they have little tears or whatever in them. So if you get a little tear, that's totally fine. Now, this is what we have. And if you think, ooh, that's really too curled, you can just kind of pinch and stretch it the other way a little bit to maybe take a little bit of that curl out. If you don't want it like so curled this way, you You can just kind of do a little like that. So you can maneuver them however you want to. Now that I've got this one done, I am going to put a little bit of tacky glue on here. And I'm going to set it aside for a few minutes while we do the next one, because just so that we don't have to hold it. Now this one is really kind of fat. I don't like how fat that is, so I'm going to thin it down a little bit before I start to shape it. And then again, I'm just going to start at one end, pinch and stretch until I get all the way to the bottom, and then just turn around and do the other side. So you can do this with any sort of flower that you want to. And the stretching and the pinching, oh, see, I just ripped it right there. Now that's really not going to be noticeable because it's all the way at the bottom of the flower. But it doesn't matter, even if it's at the top of the flower. It just really is not going to matter. It's just going to make it look like a real flower. So there we go. The biggest thing is try not to pull your point off. But then again, I have definitely seen flowers in my garden that don't have points on them. So there we go. Now I'll put a little bit on here. The only reason I put the glue on there, and you kind of want it kind of thin, because the thicker you do it, the longer it takes for it to actually grab. So I just wanted that to get a little bit tacky while I was doing the other one, because we don't have any clips. But if you have a clip at home, and you know, like a, I don't know, binder clip of some sort, those work really great too, once you get this all wrapped together, to hold them together. So what I've done is I've just taken a skewer, and I started with the very, oh wait, I forgot to show you. Good, that'll give those time to actually get tacky. I was going to show you how to do the center first. So for the center, you don't need a lot. And again, I don't know if lilies really have a center like that or not, but I'm pretending they do. So I just took a rectangle of our fun foam, and I'm just going to cut little strips in it, leaving about 1/4 of an inch or so at the bottom. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to get a hold of that and give it a little bit of a twist and a pull. Just kind of, and this is quite long. They don't need to be this long. Just kind of twist it and pull it. And twist it and pull it. And so you're just going to do that all the way along until you get all of them kind of twisted up a little bit. If you pull one off on accident, I hold them right at the base, right where I finished cutting them, or where the cut line stops. That just kind of helps so that they don't rip off right there when you're doing this. But if you do that and they do rip off, just keep on going, because when you wrap them around and around, you're not necessarily going to notice that that one little tiny piece is missing. And actually, this is probably even more than we need. I'm going to just cut this last piece off, because I either need to cut it off or cut it in half, because it's so, missed one, because it was so thick. Because you want them to be kind of thin. They do better that way. And if you want to, before you start stretching them, because these have a very straight top on them, before you start stretching them, you could go ahead and kind of just put a little angle on them. Like if this was still there, say this is part of it. So we've got all of our little strips. You can just do an angle like that. So it's just one little angle. And then when you stretch it and twist it, you don't have that totally flat top at the top. Or if you wanted to, you could even just go in and go both ways and put a little point on it. Whoops, and see, there we go. I pulled that one off, but then it would look like that. So, you know, you can go with these two looks, or like I said, these are just kind of flat at the top. So, you know, it doesn't matter how you do it. Now I pulled that one in half, and I don't even know I was pulling on that. So then you just take that and just gonna put a little bit of glue at the bottom. Again, you don't want too much because otherwise it'll take forever to hold. And then just take a skewer, or like I said, if you have a pen, you could put them on a pen. If you don't want to put them on anything, I usually still kind of wrap them around a skewer and then pull them off when I'm done. So just because it gives me something to wrap it around with these ones. Now, I did when I did my first sample that I was going to show you, I forgot that I wrapped them around a skewer, and I was putting it together and I thought, boy, this just doesn't seem right. And I was gluing it onto a piece of paper, a bigger piece of paper, and then I cut it off. And so I'm putting it on there, and they're all just on there flat. And I thought, this just doesn't seem right. My center was my problem. It was like, you know, that center's just like not really like into the flowers, into the petals, you know. And I realized this morning, it was like, oh, no wonder, because you normally wrap it around a skewer. So you can do them flat. This one's flat. I didn't have to put that center in there. I could have put something blingy in there. And then actually this is nice and flat on the back that you can stick on different types of projects if you want to. These work great if you want to stick them into some kind of a bouquet, or, you know, like stick them in, you've got a little jar or something that you want to put something in. You can put those in there like that. So you can do them flat, and you just, on that case, you would just take it. All I did was I just took it and I stuck it to my paper all the way around. So hopefully these are still a little tacky. And so then what you do, what should I show you on here? Is you just take your petal and just kind of line it up there with the bottom of that. You can go down below it if you want to, and just wrap it around like that. And then you just take your next petal, overlap it a little bit, and then just wrap it around like that until you get as many petals as you want on your flower. And then you have your flower, and then you can break it off so you have a stick. You can cut it off right there if you want to, or if you want, you can just pull it out. I would pull it out right away because you don't want it to glue. And when you're gluing the yellow bit, I wouldn't put glue, like I put glue so that it would glue to the stick. Just put glue on the like outside, so when you roll it, it's only the outside of that that's sticking to itself. And then it will still look like this on the bottom. So if you want, you can leave it rolled around the stick and then just cut it off, because no matter what, you will have this, although you can cut this a whole lot shorter if you want to glue it to something. But I am going to quickly, hopefully, pull those off of there. They might need just a touch more glue now that I've done that. I'm going to put them on my other flower so that I actually have my flower completed. And for this one, I did 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this one makes 5, and the next one will make 6. So I have 6 petals on this one. And you can see here, these ones, they are toned back a little bit because they're all over my fingers, but not as much as the one that I got wet. And then this one goes here. If you do them all at the same time, you are able to move them a little bit. And if I think, oh, you know, this one is sticking up too far, after it's dry, I may stretch it down a little bit. I may not, you know, we'll just have to wait and see when the time comes. So, but just put them where you want them. I want this one, these are the 2 I just put on here, and I wanted this one moved over just a little bit. So I do think that I want them to kind of stretch out a little bit flatter so that they're kind of more like that, you know, so that they're just all kind of out here where we can see them a little better. But then again, if I'm going to put it in something, maybe I do want it to hang this way. We'll see. When it's done, I can adjust it a little bit. You can't really move your petals. You need to get them where you want them when you start as far as the base goes. But you can go ahead and just give them a little bit of a twist or a turn to move them where you want them. Or, you know, to like give them a little bit of a shape, which helps move them a little bit. This is the one, these are the 2 I just put on. So I'm still just kind of adjusting them and holding them until the glue grabs. And what you can do also is if you have any kind of a clip, you can clip it right here at the bottom. Or what really works well is if you have clothespins, and we will be getting clothespins eventually here shortly. So you can just take a clothespin and put that on there. And that will just hold it while it's drying. So maybe put a little piece of plastic between it so the clothespin doesn't glue to it. If you have a bunch of glue on the outside, you know, you'll just want to put something there so the clothespin doesn't stick. But there we go. There is our sort of tiger lily. And I really do like the way that these turn out. I'm not sure where my old one is. I had them all somewhere and I don't know where I put it. And so like that's a tiger lily. To do a rose, you just cut petals kind of like a circle with a flat bottom. And they don't all have to be exactly the same size. You're going to want your ones in the middle to be smaller. That one's very oddly shaped. See, you can even see there how oddly shaped that is. But that's okay. It's not going to hurt anything. Because we're going to stretch it anyway, so nobody will ever know the difference in the end. So these ones are probably about the size of a dime. I'll try and get one more out of here. Put this one in the very middle. Smaller in the middle and bigger as you go for a rose. And again, you can take your markers if you want to and kind of put a little bit of color to them. Because it's easier to do before you start. Grab a little bit of water maybe. It's easier to put a little color on them before you start than to try and do it once you've got them all glued together. So, and again, pinch and stretch. And of course, this is very small, so that's what it looks like. I'm not going to do color on all of these, just for the time frame, and you don't do the bottom. You leave the bottom where you cut it straight. You just leave that straight. So there's two, and there is no perfectly right amount. You just make some up, glue them on, and then just continue going until you feel like, I am going to glue this to the stick, so I'm going to put just a touch on the stick. Put just a little bit on here. And these make really pretty roses. Where's this one's the one with a little bit of color on it, so we'll put that one in the middle. And just wrap it all the way around. It doesn't quite meet itself, but if it does, if it meets itself, just overlap it. Continue going, because that's like your bud. And if you are going to put it on a skewer, then you may want to, which I am going to do, color the end of that skewer so it doesn't look just that white color there. And that again is easier to do before you start. I'm going to scribble this off a little bit because I might have had a little glue on the end there. There we go. Alrighty, so just put it on, wrap it all the way around. And then take the next one and offset it. And then we're going to hold this side down. The other side will pull with it. Wrap it right around there. And again, like I said, this is where once you get them all wrapped, or like as I'm wrapping these, I haven't cut them all yet. And if I would have thought about it, I would have said I would have purchased clothespins for this week, but I did not think about it till I was doing it. So we're going to work with what we have. And then I just offset that one a little bit. And then we will just continue and continue until we decide that our rose is big enough. There we go. Now this one got folded back a little bit as I was messing with it. See right there? That's okay, because its flowers are not perfect. So, and actually, that kind of looks even more, a little bit more like the center of a rose. So normally I would have all of them cut. And I also normally would put just a touch of glue on each one so that it would get a chance to get a little bit more tacky as they were sitting there, because otherwise you just have to hold it for a minute, or you need something to hold it for you. I was trying to think if maybe... Okay, so this is one of our clothespins, and I just unbent it. Wonder if I can kind of wedge that on there a little bit. Let that hold it for a second while we're cutting some more. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. And then you can, you know, very possibly use these little bits to make your little center stems. So you could, or you can glue them. This is so thin, you can glue it to, I'm going to make these ones a little bit bigger. And then I'm going to make the next one even a little bigger than that. You know, you can glue it to your collage sheets too. So I just realized I didn't do all of the little ones. So I'm just making this one a little bit bigger than the last ones. Like that. And again, flat at the bottom. We're just going to kind of do, just kind of round it and leave it flat at the bottom. So let's go ahead and do this one. So we'll have 4 little ones. Yeah, let's pop a little bit of glue on there. So then we'll do this size. Again, pinch and pull. Not pulling too hard. And kind of like you give it just kind of a second before you pull it, because the heat of your hands does warm that up and make it just a little bit softer, especially if you're doing a much thicker fun foam. You do really want to let it warm up for just a second between your fingers, because it's so much thicker. And if you don't let it warm up just a little bit, you tend to get more tears. I had to figure out where my flat bottom was, right there. I'm looking, it doesn't matter. Sometimes if you're going to, you know, as you're doing it, if you kind of look at it, I had already started getting a little bit of glue there. But this one is kind of curled that way with this kind of on the top. I could have put the glue on this side, but I do like the fact that it's curling backwards. So I did put the glue on the right side. But you might want to look at it and say, which way do I want my petal to curl backwards? So this is the side I'll put my glue on then. And you don't need a whole ton. Here's our last. Oops, see, I just ripped that because I was being too fast. I ripped it again. See, that's going to show you what a ripped petal looks like. That first rip was pretty far down there. And won't be noticeable, but the second one is up high enough that it will be. So, let's see if that held that. Not too bad. Alrighty, so we're going to take this little one. We're going to offset it somewhere here. I think right over here. Oops, sorry about that. Oh, I hope you could see when I was doing the others. So offset it there. And then just take one of these. And again, just to offset it, we've got, this is the last petal we put on, so we're going to come this way a little bit. Okay, I'm going to take the ripped one next. Offset that one a little bit. And then at some point you can also start looking and saying, I think we need a petal here. Even though this is the last petal I did, normally the next one would be like under, basically kind of under here. I think I want to get one over here. And so I'm going to take this last one and put it there where I think it needs to be. And see, now it's starting to get full. And again, we'll just kind of use our paper clip here. Pull it down on there to hold it. It did kind of move it on me. Didn't work so well the second time. So basically you're just going to have to put it on there and hold it for just a few seconds or a few minutes or whatever to keep it where it needs to be. I'm going to offset these again. And these two were the center too. This is not normally as fiddly as I am making it look. But it also lets you know, nobody always gets everything the first time around anyways. So there we go. There are those. I'm just going to offset these three together like that. One here, one starting there, and one starting there. Whoops. Okay, I do apologize for the fumbles today. It just happens sometimes, you know. Alrighty. So put that one there, and if you have a clothespin at home, grab a clothespin and use that clothespin to hold it. So you can just go right on to the next layer. But there we go. So now we're getting our little rose. Now roses take, well, it depends on what you want. But roses take quite a few petals. And I do have a little sample rose here. Here we go. So this is one that I did on a tea light. And instead of wrapping it on the skewer, my first petals were wrapped right around the little light bulb that's in the middle. So see, I did the first one and then the second one, and then I offset two, and then, and just kept building it up until I got all the way done. And then I cut a little green piece for a leaf, did exactly the same stretching, and put some leaves at the bottom. And so now I have a cute little flower tea light out of my rose. So now, because I need to set it aside to let it dry, I'm not going to go any further with this, but it literally is just continue offsetting until you get all the way around. Then, like I said, if you want to, you can leave the stick on it and stick it in something, or you can cut it off and glue it to something, however you want to do that. But see, it has kind of stuck now, so we're doing pretty good there. But I wanted to show you a poppy too. So, and again, my poppy, so not necessarily the right way. But to do, I thought I had some orange out, or red out here. Okay, so to do a poppy shape for the flowers, and for my middle and my outside ones, I do them the same size. It's kind of like the rose, except I make the petals wider. So I'm going to start here and really go, I have two pieces stacked together here, so I can just cut them both at the same time. So I'm going to start here and really go out to the edge. And then instead of making them super round, they're kind of a little bit flat topped, even with maybe just a touch of a dip in the middle, and then pretty flat topped and then just kind of around and down and not at a huge angle. So they're, you know, they're kind of oblong shaped or something, kind of like a kidney bean with a flat bottom. So, and what I do is I do 3 for the back. Here's my poppy that I had, and 2 for the middle. So, and again, this one had been done on a skewer and then taken off. So, but, you know, you can do them any way that you want to. You could even do them on a pen. That's why I was saying if you have a pen, then you could put them. I don't really want a poppy on my pen because poppies are pretty big, but you could. You could take this poppy and do it around this pen, and so then you would have a pen with a flower on top. To me, they're hard to store, but they are kind of cute. So I have my 3 large ones done, and again, they were cut exactly the same way, except they're just a little bit bigger. And see, that one's ripped. It doesn't matter to me. You know, they shouldn't be totally perfect anyways. And so I just like to put a little bit of color kind of down by the center. And if you know flowers, you know, you can make them like more realistic if these are wrong. Or if you know, want to know what they look like and you don't, you can always look them up in a book or look them up on the internet and make them just how they should look. Because you can look at the petals and you can figure out how to, you know, how to shape it. Now with the poppies, I don't stretch them as much. I don't want them so curled up. So I'm just going to start on one side, pinch and pull until I get to the other side. Now I just, like I said, I don't know that I want to say I don't pull as hard, but I just kind of, and then just kind of stretch the bottom a little bit. So I guess I really do kind of stretch them the same way, but then I kind of like stretch them to flatten them out a little bit, because to me a poppy is a much flatter flower. And, you know, like I have, oops, ripped that one too. I always just plant wildflowers because I just throw the seeds out there, and then what grows, grows, and they always have puppies in them. So, which I didn't realize is a super delicate flower. They don't last very long. They're really thin. So there we go, and then I'm just going to kind of flatten it out a little bit. So there we go. And then do I want to put it around? What the heck? We'll put it on the pen. Why not? So I'll put a little bit on the pen, which I really should not have done probably. It's going to probably make it real slippery. And we'll put some on our big flowers here. And our little ones. And it's 3 and 2 as far as I know. So you do 3 big ones and 2 little ones. I'm going to set this up for a second in my pinhole over there. And then to do the center, I just cut a piece of fun foam out of a scrap. And just kind of like a funky circle. And then I just colored it black with a regular black ballpoint pen. We could color it black probably with our black marker too. Didn't really think of that. Let's see how dark that gets. What did I just do with it? There it is. Totally lost it. Alrighty, so we've got this little orange bit. Oh yeah, black marker works really well. So, because they kind of have a black center. And then I don't know if they have a yellow on the black center. And like I said, because I don't really know these things totally. So that might be all you need. But to me, when I did this one, it really kind of bothered me, that black center in there. So I put a little yellow bit in the middle. Now that might be correct, it might not be, but all I did was take a bit of yellow, cut a circle, and then I just cut little points on it. So, and I already did that because it takes a little while to cut little points on it, so. There we go. Just stick that on there. Stick that one on me. All right, now what did I do with our pen? Oh, yeah, I stuck it in the pen holder. So then we're just going to take our puppies, or our petals, put them around like this. And I really don't like messing with that pen right there. I'm gonna just do this for now anyways. And maybe for these, a glue that grabs faster might be better. That's how I did it before. Just put it down there. And then you take your two little ones, and I don't know exactly where they go as far as like one of them I think goes like that, one like that. And then our black center, I think this is the one I did with the ink pen. It's a little too much glue. Pull those in a little bit. That one's got a tear in it. Oh yeah, there's the one I did with the marker. Then put our little center on there. And there we go. So to me, that is my poppy. I can push it down a little bit if I want to, and if I want to pull it up even more, I can do that after my glue has dried. So because once our glue has dried, you know, it sticks pretty good, and then you can manipulate them however you want them. Like let's say I have this one, and I want to bring this one up just a little bit, so I'm just gonna curl that one up a little bit. Maybe bring this one over a little bit, and now up until you get it adjusted. And again, I am, especially since I really did just glue a couple of these, I am holding the base while I'm doing it, or I'm doing it in one spot and not pulling on the base. So hold the base and pull this one up a little bit. And there we go. So there is our little foam tiger lily and our poppy and our little rosebud, which can become a whole rose flower if we wanted to. So that, and again, this is a little bit long. I don't want it that long, so I'm going to go ahead and break it off. There we go. And I was just kind of looking around here. I was looking to see if I had anything sitting here that could actually hold them. And of course, you know, that's, is there something? Oh, here we go. There we go. So you could put them in like this to any kind of a little container. The other thing is that if you do want to put something in a container and it doesn't want to stay where you want it to be, you can put a little bit of, so long as you don't like have mice or something like that, or you know, something that might want to come to it, you could put some rice in there, you could put some beans in there, you could put some rocks from outside, little tiny pebbles from outside in there, and then that way your flowers will stay right where you want them. instead of flopping around. So, but there we go. So those are our flowers, plus I have these ones that I had done before. Don't forget, you can put them on a light, and which is another really fun way to do it. You could put them on a pen if you wanted to, and that would be fun too. So thank you very much. I hope that you enjoyed this, and let's see what we're going to need for next week. The other thing I did want to say is if you have something that you've been watching people do and it's something that you want to try, please just let me know, and I will get that fit into our Build Your Stash series so that we can get the items for it, and we can make some for ourselves. And that includes if you want to know how to make a certain product. Like we made some little bit of glue paint the other day, and we painted our own papers with our kids' markers. So there's a lot of things that you can do without having to buy a big product. And anyways, if there's something you want, just ask and I'll try and figure out how to do it so we can do it together, and we'll have it in our stash in our budget. So, okay, for next week. For next week, we are going to need I bought 2 of these foam sheets from Walmart, and now these are, when I say they're thicker, they're actually more like a regular thickness of foam sheet. The ones from the Dollar Tree are very, very thin, you know, because they're $1 and you get a whole pack of them. They used to be thicker than this. They've really gotten thin. But again, this is really good for the flowers. So this is what we're going to need for next week. So because they were 47 cents each, I bought 2. They can be any color that you want because the color is not going to matter. So we need 2 foam sheets. That's $1. I bought some white. This is tempera paint. I didn't really realize it. Tempera is a little thinner than acrylic and not quite as opaque, but it will still work. I just wanted white paint, and this was a fairly large jar for $1 at the Dollar Tree. So I picked this one up, and so if they have acrylic, you could get the acrylic one also, just because it's a little bit thicker. But so a bottle of white paint, that was $1. So that's 2. And then I got 6 colors of paint. So there's 3, 4, 5.25. They were 54 cents each. So I have $3.24 here. So that's, I don't know where I got the $1, $2, $3.25. So $3.25, $4.25, $5.25, and I got these paintbrushes at the Dollar Tree. So that makes it $6.25. So that's what we're going to need for this week. Let's see. On our booklet. So we had $9.50 in our bank from last week, carried forward. So today we're spending $6.25. That puts another $1.25 in our bank. So we now have $10.75 saved up in our bank for something bigger later on. So we are also going to need some kind of chipboard. This is chipboard. It's just cardboard. And that's, oh, and if you can get a hold of any kind of a plastic lid, these work great for palettes for your paint. I love them. And then you can just wipe them off and, you know, use them. I use them over and over and over again. This is just from the top of an oatmeal container. So that's what we're going to need for next week. So again, we have $1 for the foam sheets, $1 for the paintbrushes, $3.25 for the colored paints. And I didn't even show you what I got. I got the rainbow, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple. But I chose a color of red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple, the colors that I liked. I didn't get the the basic colors. I got colors I know that I would like to use. Like I don't like red, so I got flamingo red, which looks kind of like a kind of almost like a brick red. It's a darker red instead of a bright red. So yeah, so just, and I don't like the Kelly green. To me is too, I don't know. So I got parakeet, which is a very bright green. So any colors that you like, that's what we're going to need for next week. So again, we're spending $6.25 next week. We'll put $1.25 in our bank. This is what we're going to need. And this is what we did today. So I hope that you enjoyed today's video. I hope if you make some of the foam flowers that you have a good time doing it. And don't forget, try different things. Put them on a light, put them on a pen, you know, try doing them in all different ways because they're really fun to do. Thank you very much for stopping by. And if you want to make sure that you get notified of each of these videos that come up, click the bell. And that way each week it will remind you that the new video is up so that you can continue with the process. So thank you very much. I really do appreciate you. And I hope that you all have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.